This is the Business Value Exchange. I'm Helen Beckett, the Community Manager. Very pleased to have me today Mark Thompson, who is a Senior Lecturer at Cambridge Judge Business School and also a former advisor to the Cabinet Officer and a great enthusiast for digital government. Hello, Mark.
Hi, Helen. Hi.
You talk about this being a point in history, that there's a huge opportunity here for digital government. And in particular, you place a focus upon the means to which we achieve that. And you talk about open government. You say it's emancipatory. What do you mean?
I think at the moment within the UK, we hear it on the radio every day, we're facing a fiscal and demographic time bomb. We have an aging population, we have a contracting share of global GDP, and we have an ever-expanding set of citizen expectations about public services. Problem is that all our public services are wired up, if you like. The plumbing of our public services is Victorian. It's vertically integrated, where the technology is integrated within vertical organizational structures, which are pretty much run for the benefit of bureaucratic departments rather than the citizen. So the notion of open is one that borrows from looking at digital business models everywhere else, which are typically about consuming standardized capabilities wherever possible and breaking open traditionally vertically integrated bureaucratic structures and instead replacing those with horizontally organized lateral supply chains where all sorts of people that provide all sorts of components of the supply chain come together within a shared web-enabled infrastructure. And that's where we have the link with digital, assembling horizontal supply chains and getting everybody to be able to communicate and talk together and co-create value together can only really happen via the medium of shared web-based infrastructure.
That's a huge challenge, a wonderful idealistic vision you place out there. Local government has had some success, has it not, in sort of crowdsourcing, using grassroots people to shape some service delivery. Do you think this is something that central government has been slow to step up to, or are their challenges different?
I think it's certainly fair to say that local services, and by that I mean local government, healthcare, blue light, housing, third sector, have shown the first green shoots, if you like, in this direction. I think to a degree, many of the larger central government departments are a little bit hidebound by the sheer scale of the legacy infrastructures that they have. Many of them are locked into large multi-year outsourcing contracts with large suppliers, where the technical and commercial architectures are very, very tightly reinforcing, and it's really terrifically hard to break out of that. I think the other observation to be made about local services is, of course, we have a highly replicable market. So in other words, Council A does pretty much the same things as Council B.
Okay.
If only they could start doing them in the same sort of way, then of course we could save all of that money that we currently waste on replicated functionality, and we could drive that out to the front line. So you know, my grandparents can have you know more social care, and we can have better amenities and services, and those are of course the things that we talk about as citizens. And I think the issue is that the dialogue around public services is all about cuts, public service cuts.
Yeah.
My contention is many of those cuts simply are not necessary if public sector can gain a grip over its own business model.
Okay, so just to recap on that, so we need to escape Victorian plumbing. We're kind of inhibited by a great deal of legacy systems, but there's opportunity to through sorting out replication to make terrific savings and offer better value, is what I hear. Does that also entail a shift? Is that a new contract between government and citizen if we were to move to that model?
It very much is. I don't know, for those viewers who are more technically minded, when we deregulated the electricity market, prior to that, obviously we just had one electricity supplier. The architectural challenge, if you like, was to enable electricity generators, power distributors, and various other players in the new electricity market to be able to work together. Again, we made a vertical structure into a horizontal structure. And the important thing is the only way in which that came together was around something called a metering point access number. In other words, you and I each had an individual unique number, and the various suppliers in that supply chain came together around us, the citizen, the consumer. Okay. In the same way, citizens' control over data is going to have to change. And in the same way that citizen-centered government will necessarily entail personal data stores where you and I have control over the data that government owns about us, and potentially one day may even be able to sell it. But the point is a very, very much more equal and participatory relationship between the citizen and the state. And it starts from there, an architectural principle, and moves out, of course. We have citizens making much better use of open data. We have government learning about those things which are more exciting and are attracting more interest. We have a diversified marketplace where instead of just a few very, very large government suppliers, we have a much, much more level playing field of opportunity for SMEs. It goes on and on from there, but it
Right.
starts with the architecture.
So that's an incredibly ambitious vision you set out there. But you do give us some models. You looked at electricity industry, which achieved more sort of democratic model, our participation between user and supplier. So some leads there of how that might be achieved. Many thanks today, Mark Thompson.
Thanks, Anne.